listening to Over the Oxer podcast with Tracy Cole for all things to do with the mind for equestrians. Welcome to this latest episode. And because this is the first solo episode that I've done since my little summer break, I thought I'd tell you a few updates, what I've been up to, and also a little mindset tip right at the end. So the first thing that I want to tell you about is a fabulous day out that I spent down in Surrey near Epsom at the Limes Racing Yard where Equestrian R Affinity are located. And this is a yard probably like no other. Now, the racehorses themselves, as all racehorses are on, most of these training yards, are looked after like kings and queens. They are able to get turned out, they go out into the fields, they have the best of everything. But what's more unusual is that, if they aren't perhaps tip-top, let's say they're fit and healthy, but they're not tip-top, then they don't race. So the welfare is at the heart of Equestrian R's ethos, and it's not about the wins, it's about the welfare of the horses. And it was a fantastic day, lovely to see their setup. Thanks ever so much to Craig Benton, who is the trainer, and also to Alla Elena, who is the owner, and also to Alina Filimonova, who does their PR and their marketing. So it was really lovely to meet these people. I'm going to put a link in the bottom of this podcast to the website so that if you're interested in this style of ethical racing, then you can have a little look at what they're doing. And they do open days every now and again, and it's a lovely place to visit. It's just a great day out. I should say as well, it's not just the racing side that they deal with, and this is another unique characteristic, that once the horses retire, they pass into another part of the yard where they are retrained. So the horses aren't just kind of given up and sold on for £1 and that kind of thing, but they are very mindfully transitioned gradually, slowly, and so on, in their own time, in a very monitored, very measured way with really, really experienced people, so that the horses feel secure with their newer life, and they then feel quite ready to go off and be equestrian horses rather than race horses. And I think that's just phenomenal that they have this facility. And that, like I say, if you do get to go and visit them, you will notice that the welfare is just there before anything else. It's a fabulous setup. So thank you so much to everybody down there at the Limes. It was a great day, and I actually spent the night there as well, which was wonderful. So thank you so much. The other thing that I was doing, same weekend, really, really busy, was I was speaking at the Hypnosis Conference. So the Hypnosis Conference is organised between Australia and Nevada in the USA. So in the UK, the timings are a little bit strange. So it was around about 10:30 at night that I gave my talk. My talk was about high functioning anxiety. And it was such an interesting conference, all on Zoom, but people from absolutely all around the world. So I think what I'll do is I will feed back to you some of the major takeaways over the coming weeks so that you get a taste of what's really very, very current in hypnosis, hypnotherapy, and they were talking about NLP and timeline therapy as well. So fascinating conference. So I will let you know any tips and tricks that we can translate for riders too. The next thing that I want to tell you about is that in August I did a boot camp. So the boot camp was every evening, Monday to Friday, from 7 o'clock to 7:45. And we had WhatsApp messages during the day where people were telling me whether they got on their horses or if they had a question, and everybody was feeding off one another. It was really lovely. So if you were one of the people that joined me, thank you so much, because it's always dependent on the people that join in, and everybody joined in, and everybody had something to say on the call, and everybody practiced, and it was really, really lovely. So thank you so much. Around about the time of that boot camp, I had a collection of inquiries from people who live a bit more east. And so, again, the time zone wasn't convenient for them at 7 p.m. UK time. So people contacted me from Australia and New Zealand and Thailand. And there was another country, and I can't remember it. I think it was India. And I said, well, you could have the recordings, but it's going to be a challenge for you to be there live. But I realized, I like stuff that's live, because you just feel that connection a bit more. You're just present, and you also feel that you're able to ask questions a little bit more on the spot, rather than, typing an email later on once you've watched a recording. So I thought what I would do another boot camp. So it would be in the morning this time, UK time. So I haven't quite figured out the precise time yet, because I'll see who, registers more of an interest. Because, if we get the New Zealanders, then we may need to go earlier. If we get the people more from Thailand and India, we may need to go a bit later, and so on. We'll kind of massage the time, but round about 9 a.m. UK time. And 9 a.m. UK time is round about 6 p.m. Sydney time, and it's round about 3 p.m. Bangkok time. So that isn't set in stone, but it would be a morning. Could be possibly a little bit later. Again, it depends on our New Zealanders, because if they join us, then it's about 8 p.m. So they may not want to join us at like their equivalent to 10 p.m. But we'll just see. It could shift a little bit later if it's more for Australia, Thailand, India. But yeah, I'm going to do that in October, and I think it will be round about mid-October. So it sounds like it's years away, doesn't it? But this year has gone so quickly. So if you do want some information about that, I'll put it in the description box below. If you'd like to register more than an interest, let me know. I can start to get numbers together. I've already got 2 or 3 people interested. I usually keep these things to round about 6 people. It depends whether people are going to listen online. If people are going to just listen to the recording, then we can have more people in the live part. But yeah, please do let me know if that's something. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. I just made it more convenient, hopefully, for the people who are ahead of UK time. But if 9ish, 10ish in the morning UK time works for you, and you're elsewhere, or you're actually in the UK, then you're absolutely most welcome to join us as well. So for instance, 9 o'clock, let me do this correctly, 9 o'clock, oh, that wouldn't be good. 9 o'clock Eastern USA time would be 4 a.m. So unless you are a committed insomniac or something like that, you probably wouldn't want to join at 9 a.m. But who knows, a 10 a.m. might be a goer. You never know. Okay. The next thing that I want to tell you about is, if you listened to last week's podcast with Alison Lincoln, Alison really wanted to know what I was doing in terms of this new course that I was on. And I was telling her a little bit about it. So it's Tucker Biokinetic Techniques, and you can look it up. It's all designed by Renee Tucker, Dr. Renee Tucker, who is a qualified vet and has been a vet for over 30 years. She's a holistic vet, and she's developed this methodology where we can start to heal horses, for instance, but people who take her courses also are interested in dogs and people as well. And you can heal them or certainly alleviate the symptoms when certain parts of the body are misaligned, or, they're not quite in the right, what can I say? It's almost like resonant frequency, and you'll know resonant frequency. Have you ever been to a rock concert and been near to the speakers? And always feels like my stomach, my intestines are kind of bouncing around with the music. And that's the resonant frequency kind of being the same. Now, if you get out of kilter of your natural frequency, not the frequency that's induced by listening to loud music, but if you're out of kilter, if any of your bones or organs or nerves or blood vessels or ligaments or tendons and so on and so forth, any of those are out of sync, out of alignment, then you may or may not have discomfort, or maybe the way that you're moving or the way that your system is working isn't optimal. So I've been doing more and more of that. So the first part of the course deals with the skeleton, and you learn about the correct alignment, if you like, the correct motility of all the bones. And now I've moved on to almost everything else physically. Yeah, there probably are some very complicated systems that I've still not looked at on the course. And then the further course looks at things that aren't so physical and a little bit more intangible, or certainly they may be physical, but they're quite complicated. So things like growths or arthritis, which is obviously growth of bone, or calcification and things like that. But so, yeah, where I'm up to is looking at the organs and various tissues. It's been a fabulous course, and I'm just getting some practice in. So in the local area, I've been seeing a few horses, and it is tremendous fun. It is brilliant to bring these systems back into alignment, just very, very gently, just using the horse's own internal energy, for want of a better word, to bring these things back. It has been great, and I've loved doing it with my own horses as well. And one of the things that at the moment, the part of the course that I'm up to is that we're being tasked with is a bit of homework, is to do with grounding. And I thought I'd tell you about that because I thought I'd tell you about the results and see if this kind of thing could work for you. So grounding comes obviously from electrical grounding, where if you think of electricity as a flow of electrons, and grounding simply means you let those electrons go into the ground. So if you think of an electric fence, then you always have a grounding rod or some form of contraption that allows the electrons to go through and into the earth. And that helps to complete the circuit, if you like. But we also sometimes just have a little bit of buzziness about ourselves, and we kind of need to leave that buzzy feeling, those buzzy thoughts that need to be on the go. We need to leave that behind, and that's more what I mean when we talk about human grounding. So if you type grounding into Google, you'll see things like walking barefoot on grass or on a beach, and that kind of helps you, kind of brings out. Some people say that does allow our electrons in our atoms just to go to ground. But you don't have to do that. Anyone that lives in the UK or a very wet country, know that the last thing you probably want to do is go squelching on muddy fields in bare feet. So what else can you do? Well, what I've been doing is kind of creating in my mind a scene that does change from time to time. And my scene, I suppose, is my happy place. It's my relaxed place. And for some people, it might be a paradise island, a desert island with the sun and the sand, maybe a cocktail, But mine isn't like that. Much as that is quite relaxing to me, mine's a British beach. I would imagine, I don't know the beach, but I imagine it's in Wales or it's in Scotland. And the weather's not very good. It's actually quite overcast. But that's great because the beach is more or less empty. And there's a breeze, and I can hear the breeze, and I can feel the breeze on my face, and I've got a coat on. So this is not a sunbathing beach. I can hear the waves, but also I can hear, that kind of crinkle, that gurgling, that bubbling as the waves retreat and they go over pebbles or even, tiny pebbles and small stones. And you just hear that kind of as it withdraws. So I can hear that. Sometimes when I'm grounding, I think about having a salted caramel ice cream, 0 calories. So I've got quite a rich sense of where I am, and I can see cliffs. Up on the cliff, there's an old-fashioned hotel that I can just about make out. It's almost like a Victorian building, and I can walk on the beach or I can walk on the promenade. And I can even feel, if I want to go down the steps to the beach, I can feel what it feels like, this metal handrail. It's a little bit rusty in places and I can feel it. So I've got lots and lots of senses. I've got the sight itself. I've got sounds. Sometimes I have seagulls, but I've definitely got the sea and the breeze. I've got the tastes of the ice cream. I've got the smell. I didn't mention the smell, but I can smell the salt in the air. I can touch. If I take my shoes off and I walk on the beach, even though it's chilly, I like to walk on a beach in bare feet. So I can walk on the beach and I can feel the sand under my feet and between my toes, and that kind of grittiness that you're thinking, I'm going to get this off when I need to put my shoes back on. But the beauty of it is that it's just kind of a visualization, so I don't need to worry. So yeah, I've got all the senses in there, and I kind of build it up more and more. And I know people that have said they've got these islands, and they built it up because now they've got a yacht that's moored up, and they can go on a lovely little mini cruise. And so they've got those kind of things, or they've got a beautiful home where the garden ends in the beach, private beach. So people kind of do build it up and up and up. And whilst you're thinking about this, rather than thinking about it very analytically and being in the front of your head, front of your brain, you almost feel as though you can be in the back of your head, in the back of your brain. So it's kind of like a weird sensation. So sometimes I found it easier at the start to close my eyes and think about my physical eyes and kind of go back into my head a little bit, as much as I could do comfortably, and then start to build up this scene. So the homework that we've had to do is 10 minutes of this every day. So what have been the results? Well, I haven't quite finished my week yet, but the results so far are that I can just get into that grounded position. I mean, just totally calm and totally relaxed instantaneously. I don't have to, if I'm with the horses, for instance, and I really want to be absolutely the calmest, almost like this floaty person that's just so calm around them, that I can do that just, and I'm there. And at first I had to be on the beach, and I'd be grooming my horse, I'd be thinking about the beach, or I would be mucking out and I'm on the beach. But now I've got the sensation of that grounded place. I don't necessarily need the beach, but if I feel myself coming out of it, because maybe there's a noise, and it could just be, we have lots of birds where my horses are, and they squawk a lot, and it might just be a bird that squawks a lot, or it could be a trailer bouncing, an empty trailer bouncing along the road. So anything that kind of makes you go, oh, what's that? Then I can get back into it maybe by just starting off with the beach again. And I found that really, really useful. Really useful. I think, again, it's a little bit too soon to tell, but I think my horses respond to it. I think so. I think my cat's responding to it as well. Difficult to say with my cat. He's a complete oddball, but we'll go with the horses. And yeah, I think so. And sometimes I just ask myself, I just say, let's match the calmness of my horse. And that's quite interesting then, because then I can feel how much more calm the horse is compared to me. And I think I'm calm. I mean, I am on a human level. I think I'm calm. If I did a body scan, there wouldn't be too much tension in my muscles, and my brain is on a very, very go slow mode. But then if I say to myself, well, just try and match the arousal level, the energy level of this horse, and my body instantly goes down a couple more notches. So I'm going to keep going with the grounding 10 minutes every day, because I'm starting to see results. And once I see results with something, I tend to then get convinced that this is a good thing, and I keep going. So I'm loving that. And I thought that might be quite interesting if you wanted something that was just a little challenge every day, and it helps with the riding because you will be calmer. It helps you to just snap into that calm relaxation. Let me know how you get on with that. Let me know whether that's easy for you to do, easy to maintain. I've been putting a timer on my phone. 10 minutes is quite a long time at the start, because the first couple of minutes you think, wonder how long I've done. I wonder how long have I done? And and then you have a sneaky little look at the time and you think, oh, I've only done 2 minutes. I have to keep going back. I have to go back. And eventually you get to 10 minutes and the alarm goes off and you think, oh, wow, I thought that was about 5 minutes. So it's it's just nice. It's just nice to be able to do that. It's just nice. And 10 minutes, I think if you were doing something mundane, you could probably do it as you do that. I think you could, if you were doing the mucking out or you sweeping up or something very, very automatic, you're doing, a bit of cleaning or something, I think you could possibly ground at the same time if you really, really, really stuck for time. So let me know how you get on. I will see you again next week. Take care and have a go at the grounding.